Good morning. Welcome to our yoga class. So we're doing a gentle yoga this morning, and we're in the series. We're on the fifth yama. So there are five yamas and niyamas, and I'm going to bring in some quotes from the book by Deborah Adele. So just allow yourself to settle into any comfortable position, whether that be seated in a chair, on the ground, or even laying down. The fifth and last yama is called Aparigraha, which means, those are my notes too, which means non-possessiveness. So in the book by Deborah Adele, she says Aparigraha or non-possessiveness can also be interpreted as non-attachment, non-greed, non-clinging, non-grasping, and non-coveting. We can simply think of it as being able to let go. How do we move through life loving deeply and engaging fully without getting attached? You might start by looking at the inhalation and exhalation of the breath. This can give us a glimpse into the ability to let go rather than be attached. The guideline of Aparigraha invites us to let go and to pack lightly for our journey through life, all the while caring deeply and enjoying fully. What if we could trust life like we trust the breath? What if we could take in all the nourishment of the moment and then let it go fully, trusting that more nourishment will come? Aparigraha invites us to practice divine play, experience full intimacy and contact with the moment, and then let go so the next thing can come. This is how our adhikara, which means our competency, grows, and how we become more who we are capable of becoming. Aparigraha is all about impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. If we can fall back to the breath and watch the belly rise and fall with each inhalation and exhalation, can feel the trust of the transience of all things. With that, we're going to start our practice today with a breath practice, because some of yoga, not just our asana movement, but also breath, which we call pranayama. And that's our force energy. So this is a balancing breath. This is called, I think it's called Nadi Shodhana. It's alternate nostril breathing. So the way I like to do it is you can take two peace fingers and place them right here on what we call your third eye, your forehead. And then you're going to use, I'm using my right hand, you're going to use your ring finger to close down your left nostril, and you'll be using your thumb to close down your right nostril. So I basically have both fingers at my nose. And then you can place your elbow on your opposite hand if you like to hold it there, or nothing at all, or maybe you balance it on the table. So we'll start by closing down the eyes or softening the gaze. You might just take a moment to use your peace fingers here to massage your forehead, and then find a place where you can gently anchor your hands onto your forehead, or your fingertips, I should say, onto your forehead. And then we'll close down the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left. Pause for a moment. Close down. Whoops. Close down the kitty is in the way. Close down. Are you still hearing me? Okay. Close down the left nostril with the ring finger. Exhale all of the breath out through the right nostril. And then inhale through the right. Close both nostrils, hold for a moment, and then release the left nostril. Exhale through the left. And then we start all over again. Inhaling through the left nostril. Close the left, pause. Exhale through the right. Sorry, this kitty can't really be in yoga, can she? Okay, continue on like that for a few more rounds of breath. Okay, so after a few rounds of your alternate nostril breathing, you can release that. Release your hands into your lap and just take a moment to return to normal breathing. See if you can notice anything different. Has anything changed? And maybe you do notice that one nostril is more clogged than the other, especially this time of year, right? And then we'll start to cultivate in class ujjayi breathing. This is the warrior's breath. So I was mentioning in classes prior, it's kind of as if you were fogging up a mirror. So imagine for a moment you're holding a mirror and that you're going to fog up the mirror. And there's a slight constriction at the back of your throat. Now we're going to do that same breath by closing the mouth. And you can close down the eyes if you want, like, or keep a soft gaze. And then breathe in and out through the nose. Allow your jaw to be relaxed, your teeth to melt away from each other so you're not clenching your jaw. And then maybe you let your tongue rest right at that edge of your palate and your teeth. And you might start to even hear the breath. Listen for the sound of the ocean-like quality. And when we practice this breath, the idea is that when life gets lifey, life gets challenging off of the mat, maybe we can find ourselves as a habit returning to our breath practice, returning to a breath that soothes us. So from here, if it feels comfortable for you, let's move on to our back. And remember that you can always modify things. So listen to your body. That's the most important thing. When you move onto your back, feel the earth rise to support you. Walk your feet as wide as the mat. Allow your knees to tent in towards each other. And then maybe you rest your hands right on your belly with your elbows softly on the ground. And then we'll practice a few ujjayi breathing practices here. So just coming back to that warrior's breath, listening for the sound of your breath, practicing Aparigraha, letting go, Sense the rise and fall of your breath in your body. And see if you can cultivate some gratitude for this breath that naturally breathes you. Feel the sensation of the earth rising to meet you, the strong and steady support. And then when you're ready, we can blink the eyes open with your feet as wide as the mat. Clear out any supplies that might be next to you. So if you have blocks or anything that might be in your way, and you can walk your feet as wide as the mat. Start to allow the knees to flutter from side to side. So you're kind of windshield wipering the knees back and forth as big of a movement as you'd like, or maybe as small. Paying attention to your breath as you move, allowing yourself to feel the sensations in your body. You might notice how a movement in one place of the body, how it affects and has a ripple effect throughout the rest of the body. Where else do you sense or feel sensation? You can even start to deepen the movement by maybe turning your head now from side to side in the opposite direction as your knees. And the next time your knees float over to the left, we're going to pause there. You can turn your gaze to the right and maybe even cactus your right arm, or you could start to reach it out at a diagonal. Find the length from your fingertips down the side of your arm, under your armpit, along your waist, towards your knee. And see if you can breathe down that whole side length of your body. And then we'll come back to center. Bring both arms into a letter T shape. And then we're going to float the knees now over to the left. And you might find that your we're floating them over to the right. I get my left and right really confused sometimes. Turn your gaze this time over to the left. And maybe even start to reach your left arm long. Your left knee might be floating down towards your right foot. And see if you can find that length from your fingertips along your arm, towards your armpit, along the side of the waist, to the hip, all the way down to the knee. And when you're ready, we'll come back to center. And this time, what you can do is place the soles of the feet together, the knees open wide. And if you have blocks, if it would be helpful, you can slide some blocks underneath the knees. If this isn't comfortable to even have the knees open wide, you can just come back to having your feet flat on the mat with your knees pointing up towards the sky. From here, we're going to stretch the arms out wide to the sides. And then on the next inhale, float your hands up towards the sky. We're going to cross the right arm over the top of the left. Give yourself a nice big hug so that your hands land. One on the right hand is on top of the left shoulder. The left hand might be underneath the right shoulder towards the armpit. And just see if you can inhale into the center of the spine in between the shoulder blades. You might even start to rock the elbows here a little bit side to side. Finding this loving hug. See if you can bring your awareness into your heart center, all the things that you feel grateful for. And then as they come to mind, feel free to practice non-possessiveness, letting them go one by one. And then when you're ready, we'll return to center. You can stretch your arms out wide to the sides. And then once more, we'll inhale, float the arms up towards the ceiling. So your fingertips are pointing up towards the sky. This time you're going to cross the left arm over the top of the right. Go ahead and find that nice big hug with now your left hand on your right shoulder, your right fingertips maybe underneath the arm. And once more, it might feel good to just rock a little bit side to side. Now go ahead and practice gratitude and non-possessiveness by bringing to mind a few people you'd like to send this nice big hug to. Bring them to mind and then practice letting go. On the next inhale breath, we'll come back to center, open the arms out wide to the sides, and then you can float the knees back up towards the ceiling, plant the feet on the mat. Now we're going to get ready to do a few bridge poses. So walk your heels in towards your sit bones. You can press your feet on the mat, and then we'll inhale, press into your heels to lift your hips. You could bring your elbows next to your rib cage and start to float your rib cage up to come up onto your shoulder blades. On your next exhale, allow the spine to come back down, one vertebrae at a time. And we'll take a few more rounds of bridge, pressing into the heels, lifting up any amount. Exhale to gently lower. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. One more time. And this time, you're welcome to stay in bridge. Maybe an active bridge. You could release your hands to the ground. You might shimmy your shoulders underneath you and then interlace your hands underneath your low back. You could also stay in a supported bridge by sliding a block right underneath the low back if that feels comfortable. Take another nice deep breath here. And whenever you're ready to release this, go ahead and press into your heels, lift up, and we'll lower the spine all the way down. Now from this bridge prep, we're going to come into our twist. So you can press into your heels, lift your hips a little bit, and then slide them over to the right so that you can land the knees on the left. And you can come into a nice gentle twist, extending your arms to either side, just allowing yourself to settle into this soft, gentle twist. Feel free to make any modifications, any changes. You might turn your gaze over towards your right fingertips. And then if you want, you can either stay in stillness or we'll find a little bit of movement. On your next inhale breath, you can float the right hand up towards the sky, rainbow the fingertips over the body, and then reach the right fingertips past the left hand. And then go ahead and allow the right hand to glide along Inseam of the left arm across the chest, open back up into a twist. Feel free to try this a few more times, rolling onto your left side and then gliding your hand across the body to open back up into your twist. The next time you roll onto your left side, you can either bend your elbow and prop your hand up on your head, or your head up on your hand, or you can keep that left arm extending outward and maybe use a block. I like the block on the medium setting to rest your head onto. We're going to do a little bit to warm up through the hips and the glutes. So with your legs in this bent position, we'll glue the heels together. Inhale to lift the top knee. Exhale to lower it. So we're going to do a few clamshells to warm up through the hip. A little bit to strengthen the glutes. So feel free to move at the pace of your own breath. See if you can send your breath and your gratitude down into the hip joint. If you find that your thoughts begin to wander, can you bring yourself back into your ujjayi breathing? And then when you're ready, if you feel fatigued, you're in good company, you can rest that action. We'll slide the knees back now so that they're in a straight line with the body. You can keep the heels kicked back, and then you can bring the top knee out in front, lower it down either towards the ground, or if you have another block or pillow, if it doesn't want to reach all the way down, you can always rest your knee on support. So whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then we're going to turn this into the possibility of another kind of twist. So you can bring your right hand to your shoulder, allow your shoulder to sink back, and then if you like, you can turn this into cat chasing its tail. So this is the option of a bind. You can reach your hand down towards your bottom foot. Maybe you grab hold of your foot to just stretch through the quad. Remembering that each one of these is optional. So listening to your body, letting go of any expectations or judgments, just doing what feels right for you today. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll release the foot. You can roll back onto your back. And if you have a strap handy, think about using that strap or your hands to hug your knees in towards your chest. Just give yourself a little hug. Maybe you roll your nose up towards your knees and set it back down. And then we'll do a little bit to massage the low back. If it feels comfortable, you can start to draw some circles with the knees in one direction. And then when you're ready, go ahead and switch directions. And then when you're ready, we're going to get ready for the other side. So I'll just turn so I can still face you. Bring that block with you if you like. Start out in your bridge prep, so your feet are planted on the mat, and then you can press into your heels, lift your hips, bump them over a little bit to the left so that your knees can fall over and stack to the right. And then you can extend your arms out into a letter T shape. You can turn your gaze over towards your left hand and just soften for a moment into your twist, allowing yourself to make any modifications, breathing into sensations. And then it's your option if you want to stay in this twist and stillness, or maybe you want to reach your right hand, or sorry, that's your left hand, up towards the sky. Roll onto your right side. It's like your hands are going to come together and your left hand reaches past your right fingertips and then glide the hand across the chest to open back up into your twist. Feel free to take a few more rounds like this, rolling all the way onto your side and then gliding the hand across the chest, opening up into your twist. One more time, just like this. The next time you roll onto your right side, we're going to stay, either propping your head up on your hand or sliding a block underneath the temple. And we'll do our clamshells from here. So inhaling to lift the knee, exhaling to lower, gluing the heels together, and just finding some strength in the glutes. See if you can send gratitude down into the hip joint. We'll take one more nice deep breath. And when you're ready, you can soften that action. Slide the knees back so now they're in a straight line with the body. You'll pick up the top knee, place it out in front of you, and see if you can find some length through the hip and the glutes. If you want to turn this into a twist, I'm kind of sliding the block back, bringing the left hand to the left shoulder, allowing the shoulder to melt back. And then maybe you want to bend that bottom knee. Reach down with your hand to grab hold of the foot or the ankle if you'd like to try that quad stretch. Remembering that any of these are options where you can stop along the way. You can always give yourself permission to experiment. Take one more nice deep breath here. And when you're ready, you can release the foot. And this time we're going to roll onto the belly. You can either press up into a seat and sit on a chair or on a blanket, or if it feels okay for the knees, you can come to hands and knees. You might even take a blanket, a folded blanket, and place it underneath the knees just to give a little bit of extra padding. If you have blocks, you can also bring blocks and bring your forearms onto blocks to come into a tabletop position. But if it's okay on the wrist, go ahead and plant the palms on the ground, or sometimes people like to bring fists onto the ground. So find what feels comfortable for you, remembering that you can also do this from a seat. So we'll inhale, drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale, round into the spine for cat. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. You can also draw some nice big circles with the belly button, stretching into all the corners of your spine. And if you're rotating your circles in one direction, allow yourself the opportunity to find the other direction. And then when you're ready, we'll meet back up in a neutral spine. I'm going to use my blocks underneath my hands to step my blocks over to the side and then step the left foot forward. This is going to help me come to stand. So from here, you can tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and then if you have that blanket there, feel free to clear it off to the side, walk your feet to a forward fold. In your forward fold, feel free to widen your feet a little. You might grasp your opposite elbows and just allow yourself an opportunity here to hang heavy, swaying a little side to side. Maybe you want to sigh out through the mouth, sticking out the tongue, taking a lion's breath. And then we'll release the hands, bring the hands back to blocks or just onto the seat of a chair or just dangle them towards the ground. And you can heel toe your feet back underneath your hips. We'll press into support and inhale to lift and lengthen the spine up halfway. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale here for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. On the next inhale, sweep your arms up and we'll rise up to standing. Exhale, draw your hands to your heart center. And then go ahead and release your hands to your sides, coming into a mountain pose. And just allow yourself a moment to settle here. And then we'll bring the hands to rest on the heart. Take 3 nice deep ujjayi breaths here, listening for the rhythm of your heartbeat and feeling into your intention. And then when you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. We're going to do a little bit of movement here, standing, a little bit of balance and strengthening with chair pose and bird pose. So with your feet pretty much hip distance width, you can flip your palms so your palms are facing back. Start to rise up onto the balls of the toes. So lift the heels any amount. You can start pressing the palms back And then on the next exhale, you're going to land your heels, sweep the arms forward. Imagine there's a chair behind you. You're going to sit on the chair. And then a couple more rounds like this. So inhaling to rise up on the heels, exhaling, sinking into your chair. Lifting the heels as you inhale, exhaling. Draw the belly button towards the spine as you sink back any amount into your chair. And then we'll stay in our chair. So any amount. You can also just sit in a chair at this point if you'd like to take a rest. And then we're going to find a twist. So staying in the chair, on your next exhale, you can slide your left arm back, pivot your torso or the top of your chest over to the left. Inhale back into chair. Exhale. We'll twist to the right. Inhale back to chair. 2 more times on each side. You can also, if you want to give your legs a rest, you could do this twist really just standing too. Wouldn't have to be squatting in your chair. After that last twist, we'll rise to stand and just take a moment to pause in your mountain pose, closing down the eyes or softening the gaze. And then on the next inhale, from the top of your mat, we're going to step it back into warrior one, or you can have a high lunge. So keep your left foot forward, right foot back. You could keep the heel lifted for a high lunge, or eventually we will come into warrior one, lowering the heels, lowering the back heel. You can have your hands on your hips, or you could invite your hands to meet at your heart, or you could reach your arms up towards the sky. Whenever you're ready, we're going to land that back heel and then sweep the hands down behind you, or you could interlace them, or you can rest them on your hips. And then we're going to exhale to bow into humble warrior. You can keep your hands resting behind you, or you could lower them down onto blocks. It's allowing when life gets rough sometimes, life gets lifey, we might feel ourselves humbled. How can we find the support beneath us? Feeling your feet connected to the earth, feeling the strong, steady support of your legs. Allow your torso to soften and rest. And then we'll reach our hands either towards the seat of the chair if you're using a chair, towards the ground, or onto blocks. If your hands are still behind you, you can bring them down in front. And then you can pivot onto the ball of your back foot, and we'll hop that foot up to meet the other foot, coming into a forward fold. Let's inhale here for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. 2 more times. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And one last time. We call this Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then allow your legs to spring load as you Bring yourself up to stand. You can sweep your arms around in front and then exhale, draw them to the heart center. Take a moment to allow your hands to rest on your heart. Feel the beating of the drum of your heartbeat. And then go ahead and blink your eyes open. We're going to get ready for Warrior One, High Lunge, and Humble Warrior on the other side. So this time I believe you have your right foot forward, left foot back. You can start out, this is going to be a little bit more challenging to lift the back heel and be in a high lunge if you'd like. And it just might feel a little bit different in terms of the stretch for your front foot. But it does require a bit more balance challenge. So at any time, feel free to peel that heel down. And then you can either leave your hands resting at your hips, bring them to your heart, or lift the arms, lift the heart, maybe even lift the gaze. On the next exhale, we'll float the hands down, either to the hips, or you might interlace them at the low back. As you inhale, lift the heart. When you exhale, lead with the heart as you hinge forward, resting the torso on the front thigh. You could peel your arms away, allowing the hands to reach overhead if that feels okay for the shoulders. Or feel free to bring your hands down to blocks or the seat of a chair. Allowing yourself a moment to rest the torso, bow the head. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands down to blocks. Peel your left heel back up so you're in a high lunge. And then you can hop or walk the foot in to find a forward fold. And then maybe you walk the feet out a little bit wide. Find your ragdoll here. When you're ready, we'll rise to stand. So spring load the legs, walk the feet back underneath the hips, and sweep your arms out and up to rise back up to center. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart center, coming back into Tadasana, mountain pose. On the next inhale, let's sweep the arms out wide to the sides, spread the fingertips wide, and then curl the fingers into a fist, pointing your knuckles forward. You can start to lower the knuckles and then lift the knuckles. Find a stretch on the outside edge of the arms. And then we'll peel the fingertips open. This time on your next exhale, you can bring the right arm over the top of the left. Find that nice big hug. Breathing into the back body, this place in between the shoulder blades. Maybe you rock the elbows a little bit side to side. Thinking of some things you feel grateful for, and then practicing with each bit of gratitude, letting them go. On the next inhale breath, we'll come back to center, stretch the arms out wide to the side. And then this time we're going to bring the left arm over the top of the right. Find that nice big hug. Maybe rock the elbows side to side, finding gratitude for someone special in your life. And with each person that arises, Allow yourself to practice letting go. On to the next. And then when you're ready, we'll release the arms. Take a moment to just shake it out. You can start to lift the heels and just bounce the body a little bit. Letting go. Practicing letting go. Aparigraha. Okay, next we're going to make our way onto our bellies. So however you'd like to get there, I'm still being extra careful about my knee. So you might start out, bring your hands onto blocks. I'm going to step my right foot back because that knee doesn't mind being on the ground. Gently lower that knee. And then bring my hands onto blocks on the medium setting. Slide the other leg back and I'll tuck the toes under. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders and then gently come onto the belly. So just as best you can, make your way onto your belly. This time we're going to stack the elbows underneath the shoulders. We call this Sphinx pose. So you're reaching both legs back, untucking the feet, the toes, pressing into the earth with your hands, gently gliding the hands energetically back as you lift the heart forward. And it might help the low back here to sort of tuck the tailbone, and you can keep this as a low Sphinx, or you can press and lift the chest. Keep a soft gaze so you have length through the back of your neck. And then on your next exhale breath, go ahead and turn your gaze to the left. Take a nice deep breath there. And then on your next inhale breath, you'll look forward. Exhale, turn to peek over your right shoulder. Take a nice deep breath on this side. And then on your next exhale, you can peek forward again. This time we're going to stack the palms or the fists to make a little pillow to rest your forehead. So if the palms stacked doesn't give you enough space to rest your forehead on the back of the hands, you can stack the fists instead. And this shape is called Makrasana, crocodile. And it's a nice resting shape. So take some nice deep breaths here. Feeling the rise and fall of the back body. And in classes I've taken, I've heard this referred to as our seat of self-care. Often we don't think about the back of our bodies, but maybe we can breathe into this space, thinking of nourishing our self-care. It might feel good right now to bend the knees and sway the heels from side to side. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll land the tops of the feet. Pick up your hands, pick up your head, slide any blocks or props that are in the way out of the way, unless you want to have a block for a pillow, because maybe your temple doesn't quite reach the mat. We're going to turn the gaze now to the left if that feels okay for the neck. You could always just have your forehead on the ground or on a block, and you can slide your arms next to you. We're going to take some rounds of locust pose. So on the next inhale, you'll bring the gaze forward to the front of your mat, lift your shoulders, float your arms, and maybe you lift your legs as if you're a flying superhero here. On the next exhale, soften all of your effort. Turn your gaze this time to the right, softening your left cheek down towards the ground, or you can see I'm using a block here underneath my temple. Take a moment to soften and relax all of your effort. And we're going to do this turning our head from side to side a few more times so that you'll peek to each side 2 more times, meaning you'll do 4 more rounds. So inhale, lift up, lengthen, lifting the arms, using the strength of your spine. Exhale, turn to the left, soften all of your effort. Follow the pace of your own breath a few more times. And you could modify this by just keeping your feet on the ground if it feels too intense to lift the legs. Maybe you're just lifting your top half. You could make this slightly harder the next time you lift up. You could float your arms forward and then swim them back. So give yourself an opportunity to find whatever serves you. And then when you feel complete side to side, you've done as many rounds as you'd like. When you're ready, we'll bring the arms forward, press onto underneath the shoulders. Now you're going to come up into tabletop. I'm just thinking about how you can actually come onto your back without coming through tabletop if you'd like. So from here, if you want to avoid coming onto the back, maybe what you can do, onto the knees, you can just roll over and then come onto your back side instead. And that would allow you to skip being on your knees. From here, we were going to do a little bit of boat pose. So if you're on your back or if you're in hands and knees, wherever you're at, we're going to come to a seat next. So you can roll over onto one side, press up into a seat, walk your feet forward, and then reach your hands forward. You can start to lean back with your feet on the ground. And you can really feel the strength that is required maybe in your core. You could also hug behind your knees and maybe you float your shins one at a time or both together. At any time when you feel ready, we're going to come onto our backs and then hug the knees in. You can either keep your hands behind your thighs or walk your hands up to your ankles, or maybe you grab hold of your feet for happy baby pose. And you might gently rock a little bit side to side here. You could land one knee on the ground, stretch the opposite leg long. Whatever would feel best for you. Massaging, hopefully, the back. And then whenever you feel ready, you can release your feet. We're going to find figure 4 to stretch through the hip. So I like to do this with the couch. I'm going to just shimmy over to the couch. You can use a wall space for this. And this would be nice also for that gentle inversion, maybe for part of your Shavasana. You might want to just have your legs up on the couch. But I'm going to stretch my left leg long, bring the right ankle onto the left thigh, and then draw the shape in towards the body for figure 4. Take some nice deep breaths. Starting to soften your effort. might feel good to even gently rock the shape a little side to side. You could always hug behind your left thigh, drawing the shape to the body, stretching through the right hip. And when you're ready, we're going to release the side. Stretch your legs long. Take a moment to just notice differences from left to right. And then we'll bring the left ankle onto the right thigh. Draw the shape into the body by bending the right knee. You can kind of bring the shape in towards you, stretching through the hip. Starting to allow yourself to soften and relax. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. As you let go of any extra effort. Take as long as you'd like to relax on this side. And then if it feels comfortable for you when you're ready to release, you might just take a moment in this gentle inversion to lay with your legs on the couch or your legs up the wall, legs on a chair. And you could even shimmy yourself a little bit closer so that the backs of your knees feel supported, or so that your sit bones are touching the wall if you're using a wall space. Start to close down the eyes or soften the gaze. Maybe you start with the forehead. And just like a scanner, can you scan the body, inviting it to relax and soften? Imagine any tension that's being held is able to soften and release, letting it go, practicing non-possessiveness. Feel free to stay in this position as long as you'd like. Whenever you feel ready, you can make your way to your final resting pose, Shavasana corpse pose. Laying down flat on the back, you can bring a blanket over the body for some extra warmth. You can bring up an eye pillow, and we'll pause for a moment in quiet, softening the forehead, the jaw, the shoulders. I guess my speaker wasn't on. Hopefully you can hear me now. Let me try that quote again. Non-attachment does not mean that we don't care or that we somehow shut ourselves off from the pleasures and joy of life and each other. In fact, non-attachment frees us up to be immersed in the appreciation of life and one another. We are asked to let go of the clinging to the thing, not the enjoyment of the thing itself. Letting go of the ownership opens us up to full engagement with what is set before us in the present moment. Life becomes a banquet, and we are free to feast. Like the breath, we are invited to breathe in deeply, enjoying the fullness of the inhalation, and then let go just as deeply and fully, enjoying the release of the exhale. The fewer attachments we carry with us, the more we are free to enjoy and engage and live every moment before us to the fullest. The more breath we let go of, the more room there is in our body for the fullness of our next inhalation. The more we generously give and share, the more expansive and light we become. The journey of life is towards freedom. A bird cannot hold its perch and fly. Neither can we grasp anything and be free. Practicing constant generosity and unfailing trust will keep our greed in check and keep us open to life's unfolding. What wants to come to us is so great, and what we hold on to is often so small. Like a trapeze artist, are we willing to be suspended in midair in total trust of the timing and of a future that is greater than the one we are holding on to? You can allow yourself to deepen your breath. Practicing that idea of non-attachment, Aparigraha. Feel the deepness of the inhalation and then allow yourself to let it go. Practicing trust and generosity.
When you feel ready to reawaken the body, you can start to invite some gentle movements by wiggling the fingers and the toes. And then start to move up into the wrists and into the ankles. Feel free to take a nice long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears. Whenever you feel ready, you can roll onto one side, pausing there in a fetal position. Cradle your head on your upper arm. And just allow yourself to be nourished here by your breath, by your stillness. And then when you feel ready, you can gently use the strength of your arms to press yourself up into a seat, allowing your hands to meet at your heart center. In a gesture of gratitude, Anjali Mudra. And then allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's an honor and a privilege to have this time together to guide you through your practice. So thanks everyone for being here with me. I'll stick around after class if you have any thoughts or questions.